So, all right, team. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. So, as I mentioned, today we'll be learning about understanding the build agents. So, as I mentioned earlier, there are two types of agents we have, right? One is your Microsoft hosted, and second is your self-hosted agents, right? So, let us understand what this means. So, if you remember, like in our till last section, right? Whatever we have done, let's say I'm going to the Azure DevOps particular organizations. This is a project. Now, if I go within the projects, if I go to the pipelines, there are pipelines already running here, right? So let me click one of them. If I click here, these are, let me click one of the pipelines, go inside, there is a three dot, click over there, there is an option called pipelines. Let me edit it so that I can show you what it means to you, right? All right. So if you see here, okay, it's loading. If you see here, first thing, what we notice, this is what I'm referring to. Image or BN, this is a basic agent pool. So this agent pool is nothing but, as I mentioned earlier as well, that whatever tasks or the steps you have defined in this particular YAML file, that is your pipeline YAML file, right? Whatever tasks or the steps that you have defined here, this basically commands, right? These are all commands, right? This has to be executed somewhere in your machine. So this is why this particular by default, this is a Microsoft hosted agent. That means Microsoft as a service manage this one. That means you do not have any control over any infrastructure for your this thing. Now, if I say agent is nothing but just think of the normal or traditional virtual machines, or just like a normal virtual machine, right? That means you have your configurations, your settings, everything you have it. Now, same way, this is managed by Azure, as I told. But what if we had to manage like as an infrastructure by as a company, let's say, or maybe by yourself? Then this is where we need to learn, that is a self-hosted. You might be thinking, why do we need self-hosted, right? Why not the Microsoft hosted one? That we will talk later. First, let us give a small rule, brief about this particular agent pool first thing. As I told you, agent pool is nothing but whatever steps or the tasks that you have defined in your YAML file within your in the pipeline. Those tasks will be carried out with the help of this one. That means this particular Windows latest, this person will carry out all the tasks and execute it within the what you call that server. That is a Windows server, right? But the problem here is that for each task, if you see here, or maybe the stage you see, now you can just task, right? The task one, like a build test or like this one. So imagine that you have multiple tasks defined there. Now you need to basically, um, what you call, make this available. Because what happened here is this particular task, whatever we are doing, this is only one time. The question is, what is one time? One time use in the sense this particular Windows latest will be used only one time. That means only when you run at the time of, at the during the run when you run the pipeline, that time only this agent will be used. After completion of and this task, this particular agent, that is a Windows agent, this will be destroyed. That means as I told, it is destroyed. That means you will not have any control over any infrastructure. Either you will not have any artifacts because this has to build something, right? So as I told you, you have to, this will take all the steps, everything, and they will execute all the commands and they'll destroy. That means whatever you have a build or your configurations or a manifest file, or could be in your libraries system configurations or edit, everything would not be available in this system because this will be destroyed. So this is the reason why this is disadvantage, but not because of this also. There are other aspect as well. I will give that in details later in some time. Okay, so let me go to the PDF here. So we have something called as a parallel jobs that also will understand. So let's go here. So how do pipelines accomplish their tasks? So as I told you, if you see pipelines use a computer to do tasks, that means as an is responsible for this, right? Pipeline computer nothing but nothing as an configuration listed in the build file. So as I mentioned in your pipeline. Now this is how we define. Like what it means now, if you say pool, image name, that sorry VM image, whatever, whether it is Windows or Linux, depends on that, you can choose. And daemon, this one. Now this is the default behavior, I mean configurations. Now let's come to the differentiate between these two. So as I mentioned, self-hosted and a Microsoft hoster. Microsoft hoster provided a managed on-demand VM for running pipelines. Where it when it comes to the self-hoster, you provide and manage the computer pipeline used for build. Okay, and these are some of the basically you have to know about the self-hoster, sorry, Microsoft hoster. Simplest default option, this is default option as I told you, provides a clean VM for each bill. As I told you, for each bill it will give you a new VMs for you. Now you must include dependency install in the build file. That means whenever you're trying to install any particular applications or maybe .NET, Java, Python, whatever, in order to run those applications, you need to have all the dependency installed in place, right? When comes to, I mean, when comes to self-hosted. But when comes to here, Microsoft hoster, you don't need that because as this thing, they will manage that. Microsoft will take care of that. But problem here is the limit to the machine size, storage, or runtime. That means here the problem is when it comes to the Microsoft hoster, there is a some lag. I mean some kind of constraints. Like let's say you cannot increase the size of the CPU or memory or whatever. You cannot increase the storage. You cannot this thing. There is some limitations. Okay, and as I told you, limitation that means you do not have any control over your system. When comes to the virtual machines or maybe the self-hosted one, here Azure, let's you can use the Azure virtual machines or Azure scale share, we can use it Azure VM scale share, I mean, and you can bring your local system. That means if I have my traditional normal local system also, I can use that show, and useful for persistent configuration and greater control over dependencies. You control machine specs, storage, runtime. That means, as I told you, you basically control or you manage everything as the infrastructure. So reason is why do we use the question is here. I mean, as I told you, there is a there is like a limiter here. You will not have every all the control. First thing, when it comes to the size, let's say if you actually work in your production any of the project, definitely you will not just have one pipeline running, right? You have a number of pipeline running like a back to back. So that is if you're going with a default main, the particular build task, whatever you define in your task, this has to complete first task, then second task, and then third task, like that. But it is not at all possible for you to run in your real-time productions cases, right? So this is where you need a solution where you can actually have all the dependency installed in place, and then so that you don't have to reinstall. Let's say I want to install .NET based applications. Now in .NET based application, we know what all the dependencies are there. Let's say if it is already installed for the first time, when you're running second time or trying to install the same application for the second time, definitely there is the storage basically, right? It is already stored in a local system. That means this will not this will not be downloading from your repo or from your specific package manager, right? So directly they will pick from your local system itself. This is where it can improve your basically build time also. And also not just the build, the storage case also. As I told you, storage now you can manage. Let's say you want to store to particular drive or maybe particular size of the CPU, this size you want to define. Let's say 1 TB or 2 TB, that has a control over you, because it's just like a normal your virtual machines. Okay, so this all possible is there when it comes to the self-hosted. But in Microsoft hosted, there's nothing options has. This is the lag when it comes to the Microsoft hoster. This is why we have to think in the real time to work or to basically configure self-hosted. Okay. Now, so as I told you, we have learned, we have got some idea about self-hosted and micro-hosted now. I mean, self-hosted and Microsoft hosted. Now, question is, let us give another example of using, yeah, yeah, of using self-hosted and Microsoft hosted. As I told you, if you're going with a as an let's say somebody who are practicing, in our case, like we are as a student or maybe this thing, right? We want to explore basically. let's say we don't want to spend too much of money, or we don't want to invest any money for now, because our work is to just test it, right? We don't have to basically configure the Microsoft self-hosted one, because this is a Microsoft hosted. This is all managed by Microsoft. That means you do not manage it, but as a service you can use it, because there is a limited things. You can have up to 2 GB of disk size. That means you can have 2 GB of specs, like your data you can store in your here. But as I told you, every single build you, whenever you run, that time only that particular agent will be running, then it will be destroyed again. So this is one of the challenges, but as I told you, is this for the practice purpose, so doesn't make much sense for us now. That should be fine for us, right? To use this Microsoft hosted. Now question is, then when can we use the Microsoft hosted, I mean self hosted? Self-hosted, let's say if you're actually working in any of the organizations or any of the projects in real time, that time nobody is going to use the Microsoft hosted. Unless it is a small task for certain requirements, you will be using self-hosted, I mean Microsoft hosted. Otherwise, mostly 99% of the time they'll be using a self-hosted agent itself. As I told you, what is the advantage when, as I have already told you, that you have you have a control over the storage. That means you can define how many, whether you want 1 TB or 2 TB, 3 TB, or depends on your requirement, right? You can define the size of the disk as well, and you have a control. That means you can define, you can do patching, you can configure particular tools, you can install everything. But one disadvantage here is that, as I told you, you have to manage as an infrastructure. That means if you're going with the Microsoft, I mean self-hosted, right? If you're going with self-hosted, as an infrastructure, you need to manage everything. That means including tool installation. Let's say I want to work with the .NET based applications. Even .NET based application tools also, I need to install and keep everything in place before running the pipeline. So that means you need to know what tool to be installed in order to work with certain applications. Say for example, .NET would have a different dependency, and Java would have a different dependency. Similar way, we also have a Python also would have a different dependency file. So, or maybe the configuration file or all together, right? So in this case, you need to be very much familiar, but this all will come with the experience. As you work along, right? You will get to know, you will come a lot of issue, try to fix the issue, you will Google it, you will try to find out the way to fix the issue. That is how you build the kind of the experience when it comes to the self-hosted. But Microsoft hosted, you don't have to worry at all as an infrastructure, because it is managed by Microsoft. So you simply use as a service. Everything will be taken care by the Microsoft only. Okay, so let's go to the next this thing. Okay, now as I told you, we have if you see here, CHD, we can have free, we can have Microsoft hosted up to 2, and self-hosted 1. So basically this in all we can, this is not an issue that you can change. It here, set max number of parallel as in DevOps organization. So you can also define how many basically jobs you can done at the same time, right? So that you can be changed according to your requirement. Then next we have it is your, we will try to see this one. Role of, as I told you, what is the role? It carry out the pipeline jobs. Whatever the steps or the tasks we have defined in the pipeline, right? Those will be carried over with the help of agent only. So agent types, that is a Microsoft hosted or self-hosted. And parallel jobs provision multiple agents to run at the same time. So if you have multiple agents also, we can also run that also in different agents. That are also possible. So this is something called a trigger. I will just give a quick this thing. As we all know, we have here, whereas mentioned trigger as main and the dev branch, right? Similar way, we can actually define a different way. The trigger types we have will basically try to understand. Trigger, we automatically start pipelines to respond to event. So we will see this also. As we all know, trigger basically first you do based on a task. Let's say first it has to complete 1, then 2, and then 3, like that, and so on, right? That means sequence based on the steps that you have defined in the pipeline. Now these are some of the things you need to understand: CI trigger, schedule trigger, pipeline trigger, peer trigger. These are some of the triggers type basically we have it. Now when it comes to the basically what is a trigger role, CI triggers. Now specify which branch to watch for update optional, include or exclude also we can define. That means if you have this kind of requirement also, we can actually define with the help of CI triggers as well. Now, if you see the like under trigger, we have a branch. We can mention here include or exclude. We can define, and this is basically with the help of the will card. That means anything you see the release and a slash any name, then it should get triggered. Similar way, reference tags also we can have defined or exclude. If you want to exclude for certain branch also, or with the help of some wildcard or maybe direct branch name also, that also we can define it. Okay, so this is the documents, you can also refer this one. Then now cron jobs, the name suggests, right? So basically this is schedule trigger. So as name suggests, that means you are scheduling. Now we need to understand how to write in the cron job everything. This also we need to check it that. So this is the format we should be doing it. And this is depend on the this thing. If you're working with some project, yeah, let's say you want to two different time zone. Let's say you are Indian time. I mean, you're Indian and other person from UK or US. Then there is some gap in time, right, between the time. So that time, what happens? Based on the business hours or everything, they will schedule a job for you. I mean, to run the pipeline basically. Okay. Now PR pull request. So this is very simple, right? Like easy to understand. Pull as name suggests, PR mean pull request, right? Trigger. That means if there is any changes, you can mention PR as this branch you can mention. That means if there is any changes or not changes, basically PR. Let's say you are working with a dev branch. From dev, basically you have created the some feature branch from the dev branch. Now, after basically completion of your task or maybe testing your code, you will march back to your uh, dev branch, right? That time you have to do a pull request, right? So when you do pull request, when it is successfully done, automatically this basically the pipeline should be triggered. So that is also we can define like that. Okay. Now, okay, this is the things. Now we have to explain. Now let us basically go to the this thing. What I call exploring the self-hosted. As I told you, there are two types. Now, self-hosted is very important to understand. First thing, as I told you, what is the advantage? It is basically you can manage. So in your actual project or any organization, you will be using self-hosted because as an infrastructure or as a this thing you will be managing. That means including patching, you're maintaining the servers or basic configurations or doing any tool installations or everything. Those need to be taken care by yourself or as an organizations, right? So all right. So let us see basically. As I told you, basically, why use self-hosted build? If you go with the hardware customizations, we can do it. The Microsoft hosted as a limit to this means this size and up to 10 GB in GPU. Now, pipeline builds using the hybrid or non-Azure resource and maintain machine level configuration or cache, no cache. This is basically more of if you're going with this help Microsoft hosted one. So there is no any cache. That means, as I told you, every single time whenever the pipeline is running, that time the agent will be used and it will be discarded or it will be destroyed, right? This is the reason why. Now, cell hoster is as normal. So first what we have to do, cell hoster, install the cell hoster as an on-prem machine or Azure, we can do anywhere. Then what we have to do next, register and authenticate agent, then add the agent pool. The agent will watch agent pool for a new jobs. Agent will take care if there is a new job if you have defined it. Then pipeline job sent to the agent pool. Then job assigned to the agent pool as an in pool. Now, okay, you may be still thinking how we can do it. So let's go in the real time now. Okay, so how can we set up it? So as I told you already, this was already done. This one, right? This was already done by default. So you have already know how to do it, right? You know already how to do it. But now let us do with the help of Asian pool. I mean, self-hosted one. In self-hosted, we need to very much sure what is the prerequisites basically. If you want to do with a self-hosted, what are the prerequisites, right? So prerequisites basically in order to basically install it, as I told you, first thing you need to authenticate. So to authenticate, you need to authenticate from Azure DevOps to the Azure DevOps, right? You have to install. Let me type here. It's maybe. DevOps, right? DevOps 2, you have to authenticate to where? Azure pool, that is your BM, right? Azure. You have to authenticate. Now, while authenticating, we have to use something called as a personal access token. This you need to use it. For what? Authentication purpose. First, I need to authenticate, because how the Azure DevOps will get to know or come to know that this agent to be used, right? So they will not have any clue which one to register. So I need to use the authentication first with the help of PAT, personal access token. Then, as I told you, install and configure self-hosted agent on the Windows. That means now I need to identify for this self-hosted what kind of application that I'll be mostly working on, right? So if you at all clear with your requirement, because as I told you, this all as an infrastructure you need to manage it, right? That means you need to install all tools that is required for your specific application to run it, right? So it has to build the application, right? Then if you don't have the dependency file or any kind of required thing, then it will not be able to build the application. This is the reason why you need to identify what all tools to be installed in order to work or maybe build particular applications. So this is the second point. In my case, when comes to the .NET based applications, you first need to go install the Git, and along with the Git, you need to .NET SDK. You might be knowing, right? SDK, right? Software development kit, right? For your .NET. But this is actually normally it was working, but now I have checked it yesterday. Only with this one will not work, because I have tried doing troubleshooting yesterday, trying researching and everything. So there is other thing also we need to install. So what are these? You need to install other like a bill, like a Microsoft MS. You can mention MS Bill tool, MS Bill, BILT. MS Build tools also we need to install. Along with this one, niggers and UGUT, niggers, okay? Niggers package also. And also sometimes you may need to install the CLI. It depends on the situation to situation, guys. But I'm just trying my experience, okay? What is the CLI? Niggers CLI. These are some of the things you would be needing, but usually as part of this thing it is require the Git and this one .NET SDK. But I tried yesterday, this will having this also will not help me. I'm getting a lot of issue. I had to troubleshoot, understand the documents and go through all the documents and understand it. So then I realized that I need to install this also, okay? As I told you, these are the tools I need to install it. So then post installation you can go here now. You can leave for now here. So let's go with this part now. So as I told you, this agent basically can be stored, I mean, can be available in cloud or in your on-prem or anywhere where it is, whether it is on Azure or AWS or GCP, no matter. I mean, no issue with that. Okay, it can be any cloud platform also. Let's go directly. This is the self-hosted I have created. So I just wanted to save some time because it is taking a lot of time for me to set up. So I wanted to but still make sure that you guys understand, because you need to troubleshoot things like that. I will start the virtual machine first. This is the agent. So this is the reason why I have given name as a self-hosted agent, right? So then what I'll do once I start the virtual machine, I will try to basically log into this particular server, and then I will configure it and show you how to configure it with the documentation. As I mentioned, I have documented everything yesterday so well, so that you can also go through and maybe without this also you can do it, but definitely you get an issue, so you can follow these steps as I followed. Okay, but this is not a prerequisite, so guys. I will explain this also why I make this way. There are different way of doing it, but I did this way because I want you all to understand in simplest way. Okay. Okay, now it started. I hope so. Yeah, it is running. Let me log in. If I had to log in, I can check the public IP address, or directly I can go here, or maybe there's an option connect. I can click here, or I can get a public IP. Public IP. There is a RDP download file, right? So I'll click there. Once I click, this is got downloaded. I'm going to basically connect to this particular machine now. This is our, as I will type my password. My username is Hriyen. I'm typing some random password that I don't want to share it, but yeah. Yeah, so let me just enter it. Team, till now, if you have any questions, please raise your questions. We can clear that as well. Okay, this is the actual traditional, or maybe you could say normal virtual machines that we are using right in our real time. So this is same as it is, nothing different. You can simply go virtual machines and create it. I mean, in a portal or using Terraform or whatever the way. Now, our agenda is to basically to check it, right? So CMD, I can type here. Basically, I want to go to the whatever I have installed, right? So web appwiz.cpl I can type. So these are the tools I have installed yesterday. Um, you can actually this one why I have installed that also I will explain you. But before that, as I told you, Git is something you everybody knows how to install it, right? So those you need to install it. Then you have to install SDK. Then SDK Studio. There is this is from a BS Code. If you just expand this one, right? This is also installed and SDK, and then we have a installer. This will be taken care by this thing, and then we have a BS Studio. I mean, Visual Studio build tools. Okay, this you can ignore for now. This is just for my better understanding. I'm trying to do in different way, but yeah, you basically need to install all above tools like Git, this SDK, Microsoft.NET SDK, then installer, everything. Now, question is, why do we need that one? The Git, why we need Git is because, as I told you, you basically the file, whatever you have the artifacts or maybe the system configurations or everything, it has to, once the application is built, it has to store, right? Question is, how the agent will get the what do you call that, the repo, right, or the image, sorry, what application code, how they will get. This is where the Git can help you. Git can pull the basically the repo from your Azure DevOps and store here, right, to basically pulling the kind of the task or sorry, not task, basically the what do you call the um, repos. This can help, and to build this thing, this is as part of this thing, so you would need this one, right? As a .NET like software development kits is something you would be needing to build your successfully build your applications for your .NET based applications. And there is other tools also, as I told you, this also there are some dependency also, so you need to be aware of this also. So if you don't know how to do it, it is, as I told you, you simply go Google or maybe type here also. Okay, I can type here, let's say .NET SDK download, something like that. Okay, you just need to get a URL basically. But yeah, this is the one, guys. Okay, first one. Let me continue browsing. I will just say, let me click the first one. So if you see here, right, there is a standard term version or STS, right, and there is something also long term support and short term support, standard support now. So you can choose one of them. So as you can see, this is a recommended. Maybe you can go with this one, or if you want with this one also, that's also okay. But if you see the here the release that is on March 18, this is a March 11. So try to know, then install it next. Similar way, same way other also you need to do it. Okay, but To make that simple, what I did was I make all the nodes. To make that simple, what I did was, if you see here, how many of you know Linux, right? We all know Linux. Linux, there is something called as a package manager there. So what can somebody tell me what is a package manager or management we have in Linux? There is a different, right? So if you go with this thing, like as I told you, this is basically in Linux. When it comes to Linux, you know already we might have done multiple. We use a, this is a um, like we can call as a package, PSC, package manager, right? We have in Linux we have such as sorry, Linux. Okay, so in Linux we have something called as a, we something use a yum apt. What is this? Apt, right? If you want to install basically something yum install will do install, right? Yum install, then particular whatever you want to install it, right? Telnet, you have to put telnet, like that. Same thing for apts, for another distributions. These are the boot are all basically same package manager in your Linux system, but this apt basically it would be used for let's say we can use the Ubuntu base, like that, right? So it depends on your basic distribution. In Linux also there is so many distribution, right? So based on then we will be using a different commands. I mean, what is it? Package manager commands, right? Same way in Linux also, normally what we do, let's say I want to install .NET in Linux. Sorry, in Windows, what we do in Windows also we have something called same like a, this, just like a Linux. We also have same like a package manager. In simplest case, we can think that is mostly known, that is called as a ch choco latte. Chocolate, okay. Chocolate basically also is a package manager. That means just like a Linux, how we installed any particular tool, you need to run the commands or maybe apt command, right? Similar way, this also Benito, this is basically package manager. This is not in build. This is available in Linux, but this is not by default. It is not available. You need to install. If you want to use this particular package manager, that is a chocolate, you need to install this one. This should not come by default. You need to install in Windows system. This is only available in Windows, not in Linux, remember, only in Windows. Okay, that need to be installed. Now, in order to install this one, what we can do, we can directly go to the Chrome or we can install directly. Okay, so what I did was, after installing this thing, as I told you, this is just like a package manager. Within the package manager, whatever tools or maybe you want to install it, all the as a package manager will be storing. Let's say I want to install the .NET within the Chocolate. Once you install Chocolate, right? Then this is just like a package manager. That means I have everything in place. That means if you want to install .NET min, with the help of Chocolate, I can simply install .NET also. .NET. Or if you want to use Java, also we can use it like that. Basically, anything for your Windows as a package manager, you can also install other tools along with the Chocolate. So just make things simple. Let me show you the documents. So if you see here, as I told you, we need to install the self-hosted, right? That means we need to manage everything. We don't have any control on infrastructure, so we need to now. If you see run PowerShell, install Chocolate. Okay, Chocolate Windows Package Manager. So here we can run the PowerShell as an administrator. This has to be running not in a local system, wherever you have an agent running. Now, in my case, I'm going to basically run my agent here, right? Then in my case, I can simply run. By default, PowerShell is already installed in Linux. Sorry, Windows. You don't have to worry about the PowerShell things. It will be installed by default. Click as admin, run as admin, right? So as I click run as admin, then next what I have to do, as I told you, you have to follow the steps. Uh, Now, first thing I want to install the Chocolate, because Chocolate is, as I told you, it is a package manager, right? So I can just copy paste this command, full commands. So what it is, if you see here, it will get set this thing policy, bypass, scope, process, they will force, basically everything they will be doing it. Now this all will be taken care by the once you install by the chocolate itself. Once it is installed successfully, it will take maybe 1 or 2 minutes, then you can run this version. This is basically, I want to check the chocolate version, so I don't want to run once again because it is taking some time. Let me run this one choco, then version, right? So I can simply type cho choco double dash version. I can see that once it is installed successfully, I should be able to basically see. Now it is showing as 2.4.3, right? So this is how we can check it. So same way, once it is installed, as I told you, this is just a package manager, right? Just like a YAM or the apt. Same way, then what I did was, with the help of this thing, now within the package manager itself, I'm trying to install, what is that? I'm trying to install Niggard CLI, because this is, I require this one to build the applications for by .NET based application. This is why what it is, I am trying to call that from the package manager, that is called as a choco, and the install, that means this particular niggers package CLI will be installed from this particular package manager. So why is nothing but, instead of putting the continue or not, I have to put a y, no, always y is something, it is a yes. So that means I want to install what I call Niggard CLI. then then you can also go through this part also. Okay, manually also we can do this part, we can define it. If you want this also, we can check this also. But as I told you, that is Niggard CLI, or maybe this Niggard, you basically, this is to download. You can go, you can simply Google it, you will get that. Basically what you do is that you will download from this particular this thing, you have to download this one. Once you download this thing, this particular part, what you need to understand is a system, in system we have an environment variable file, right? I mean environment files. So you go there, you go to par, and then environment par, you have to go, basically you make as this one folder. So you may be confused this one, let me show you how we can do it. So if you go, as I told you, I have already installed the niggers, but let me show you still. If you go to C drive, somewhere I might have mentioned, okay, yeah, I have mentioned here, right? This niggers, this is just a execute file, right? So this one I have installed it. That means I installed, and I make one folder called as a nigger, just to make thing simple. I copied this one, this same part. That means I want this part to be available in the environment variable. Then now I will go to the type environment. There is you can see, right, settings. I can go with the system environments, right? Now, if you go here, under here, you might be seeing here environment variables, right? Click here. If you go here, if you just notice here, under here machines we have, this we have gone here systems or this thing. Now we can define it. Depends on you. You can go with the system variable or this thing. Now, if you go with the user variable also, you can do it. But system variable means if you want other also to have access, that case you can do it. In my case, you can go one of them. In our case, maybe we can check here also. Go to edit, go to select part edit. So I did not mention this is for the .NET, but in our case, as I told you, it is a system based. So we go to the part here. This is a part, right? PATH. Click here, edit. Now, if you notice here, I have added here. How to add here? Just go here and copy paste it here like this. That's it. Okay, this I have already done it. So I want to ignore for now. That's it. Your work is done then. Once you're done setting up this thing, right, you can get a nigger help also. If you want to run, you can run. So to avoid the time, so we'll not discuss much. Let's go to the next. Now we will install now install Visual Studio build tools. Now build tools also we need to install. So to install this thing, if you see the package, again we are taking from this package manager Choco. Okay, normally this all can be done manually, because manually nobody wants to do, right? It is taking a lot of time and going to every day. So this is just basically just install one package manager, then install everything within that. Then you can also build it. Now you can run this command also. If not found, you can run this command part. So anyway, this we have done it. Then SDK also, as I told you, we have already done it, install everything. So I can simply copy paste it or run it. I let me copy paste it. If you just run, so you can see now files, everything, what version it is installed. So as I told you, we have installed this one, right? So it will show this one. Okay, next, what is the next? Once you install this thing, then using chocolate, as I told you, you have to install Git. Git also, if you remember that time, we tried to install using the what you call from browser, right? Chrome, we when we try to search, we download and run the setup. But instead of this also, we can also use with the help of package manager, that is for Windows, Choco package manager, and install and Git you mentioned. That's why nothing but yes. Okay, this way also we can install it. So just to make things simple, you can run this way also instead of running all the way commands. Then this is optional, guys. If you want that also, like as we all know, IIS, right? So if you want this to be installed, you can do. This is optional but not required. If you want, you can, but I'm just giving as an optional so that if you want, you can do in your case. This is done. That means I have done the tooling part installation, right? Next is basically, once I have done the step one is to basically install all the dependency file for your application to run properly or build it. Okay, now let me show you why I have installed. If you go to my pipeline, I can show you the error so that you will get to know. Before I'm trying before installing all the dependency, I have installed Nigger, .NET SDK. I have installed it, and I have also installed the Git, but it is not working. Only those tools you need additional as well. So if you go here, my another organizations, if you go to Agile projects, this is different projects, I mean organizations projects. Now if you go to the pipelines, now if you go here, right, I'm trying to basically experiment whether it will work or not. You can see 3 times it failed. Now if you go one of the pipeline, let me click here. Now if I try to edit it, right, so that you know exactly what the issue, same way we'll do that. Okay, now if you see here, pool, sorry, not this one, this is running random. This will be 88. We have to take 88, not 787. 88 means this one, right? In this we'll check. In this you see the different issue. I will select one of the issue. So basically you have to keep troubleshooting, then only you will be experienced with different scenario record and this thing. So if you notice here, as I told you, this time we have configured a pool as different name, but sorry, my bad. I have to actually show the error, not the pipelines. Okay, I will show the error. If you go here, let me go here. Now if you go here, oh, this is for the extracting. Extracting is okay. '87. There is a different issue will come anyway, but yeah, I will show you maybe this one. 11 hertz. These are 11 hertz ago. I think 11 hertz ago we can take this one. I'll take it. Yeah. If you notice here, let me click the error, read the error. What we get? I have in fact installed Git as well as the .NET SDK, but still I'm getting an issue in the pipeline while running it. What it says that no agent found in pool default, that means the default agent pool, okay, which satisfy the following demand. And you, sorry, then you see that I need to install the Visual Studio, all demand, MS build, that is a Microsoft build. This is basically the dependency, right? And then you need a BS test. BS test, why? Because BS test is optional, but because I have defined in the pipeline, that is why it is asking me to use this also. Okay, this all I need to not Git. This all I have already done it. But if you see, that means I need to install some other tools, right? So this is not meeting the requirement. I have just installed a Git and .NET SDK, but having that also will not help me. This is why I try to resource. So what we can do is you can go to documents if you know it. If you're good at reading documents, refer to documents. Otherwise, you can also use different tools. Okay, but always try to use the documents so that you get a proper idea. Okay, so I have understood everything, and then I check everything, then I try to install other tools. This is the reason why now you can see there are other tools as well here, apart from, let me close this one. Yeah, so apart from this thing, you can see other tools also installed. So having said that, all these steps I want that to be simple. This is why I make one notes in the right place. So this is why I have defined with the help of Chocolatey, because if you had to do manually, it's difficult sometime, right? So but if you know Chocolatey installed already in your system, then you can basically install other tools along with that. Okay, now next is setting, how to set up this thing. Now we have, that means we are good with the tool installation in the system as in. Now this is the main part. Now what we do, this is the main part, right? What I'll do, I have to install this one. How can I set up this one now? So in order to set up, there's some prerequisites. First thing, you need to have the um, basically, first thing, as I told you, in order to basically set up this agent pool self-hoster, you first need to install, you first need to create a virtual machine. In that case, we have already done. Let's say you BM is agent pool, right? You can agent BM agent you can mention or anything. It's just BM agent. In our case, it is a Windows, right? So Windows. So here in agent Windows, we have installed already tools, right? We have already installed. After installations, then here means after installation, what installation? All dependency file, like as I told you, Git and niggers, CLI, nigger package, as well as the other tools, right? SDK and all, .NET SDK. So once it is done, so in as an perspective, it is good. We are good. Second thing, what we have to do is that we have to basically now we have to register this agent with your Azure DevOps, right? That is when I need to first authenticate. So I need to authenticate. What authentication time? What we can I can use a PAT or personal access token. Okay, I need a PAT key or personal access token key. So how I can get this one? I can go to the your organization's settings, or in the sense I will show you that. Then maybe we can show you once. Now you can ignore for now this one. Let me take you to this thing. If you go to projects, this in the, let me go to the projects in which we are working right now. We are working with the project one, right? So not here, project one, go here. If you go here, if you see three dots here, right, like within your Azure DevOps, I mean, what is your projects, you will see personal access token. Click that. I'm saying this is within your project, right? So as I click here, I need to first create the personal access token. So in my case, I can click here or I can click here, either way. No, I will give any name, give the some name, meaningful name based on the key. In my case, I'm basically working on the self-hosted agent. So I can simply mention as a self-hosted uh, pat, something like that. You can give any name, but just to keep things simple, I'm giving as this name. Now, if you see here, this is basically this particular pat need to be given access based on the organizations. If you see here, all accessible organizations, this is also possible. So that means if you want to create the pad, that means even other project in the other organizations, people can also use that in that case, you can use the all. I mean, all accessible organizations. Okay, but in my case, I don't want to do so. I will go with the only one particular organizations. Second thing is the expiration. So as we all know, this has a, we can set some this thing, right? So I can give any name now. Yeah, I will just give as 30 days or 90 days, or you can define anything. Let it as default. Now here is the thing. Authorize the scope of the access associated with the token scope. That means those who ever having access to this particular access token, they can do anything, right? If you go with a full mean, they can do anything. Now, if you want to do custom, so let's say if you want to, if you're working as a DevOps, you can see, right? You can deal with the work item, you can deal with the code, It can do we deal with the build, release, and everything. Then we also have a test managements and the packagings and everything we have. Now, if you expand still more, you can expand it and understand it better. There is something called, the question is, if you actually want to be very much only for your specific things, in this case, you can define it. So can somebody tell us what is the specific things that we'll be needing now? Because as I told you, we are working with the what I call build, right? So if you go here, there is a option as in pool, right? That as in manage, as in pool, and as in only this one, right? So I can give only as in pool because we are dealing with the as in pool, right, this token. So only as in pool related, they will have access to that. Also I can define it. So it is, again, as I told you, depends on your case to case, you can define it. But for simplicity purpose, let's not make complex, we'll go with the full access for now. Now I'll keep everything as default. This is the first thing that we have to do after installation of your tool, okay, in your Azure machine. So this, as you can see here, you have successfully created, added your personal access token. Now I need to copy because this will be only one time. Okay, it cannot be this. I'll copy this one, securely store somewhere in my maybe notepad, right? This is yesterday notepad. I'm deleting that. This is the today's notepad. Today's key. Now, okay, I'm good now. That means I have done here. Now, what is the second step now? After doing this, basically, I need to register now. Third thing, I have done the general this thing. I got a key to authentication. Third thing would be, sorry, my bad, right? Third thing, I need to basically register. Okay, registered as in with your DevOps, right? DevOps in DevOps, basically Azure DevOps, right? You can mention as Azure DevOps or just DevOps. Azure DMBO, Azure DevOps. That means now we need to register. We have done this thing, we have will register now. How can we register now? In order to register, we can go to the, let me go back. So as I told you, we have got a key. Now we should be, now go to the, there are two ways of doing it. Let me show you. Go back. If you want to go back to your DevOps projects, you go here as your DevOps. Then next you can select the, as I told you, this is where we created the PAT, right? Personal access token in this particular organization. So I'll select this one. Now I can go within the projects or outside of the projects. That means within the organization settings or the project settings I can go. But as I told you, I'll be working with the project organization level. So I'll go with the organization settings so that every single project would have access to it. So as I select the organization settings, then you would get to see something, pipeline. Under pipelines, you would see agent pools. Okay, agent pools. Now in the agent pool, there mostly this is the default one as your pipeline, and the default, this will be default pipeline. This is just the agent pool. It is not an agent. Don't be confused. Agent and agent pools, there are two different meanings. Agent mean basically to particular virtual machines to run certain tasks in certain time. Agent pool is something the set of agent, basically in simple. I hope this is clear, right? Agent pool mean it is basically nothing but it is a set of agents, right? That means you can have a two or three of different virtual machines set up within the same agent pool. Let's say in agent pool I have a two different agent pool name. One is a default, second is Azure pipeline. If you go here, default, as I told you, I'm going with the default one. Here you would see here something like the agent. Right now, in particular agent pool, I do not have any agent. That means now I can define the agent. Agent is nothing but individual virtual machines. Simple. Okay. Now I don't have anything. Now let me go new one. I'll create it. I'll add agent now. I will create here also. I can do it. So as I click here, before that, what I'll do, whatever I had done yesterday, normally Microsoft, what they'll do is that they will tell is that normally we should not be doing like this will come. Now, if you go documents, you can simply type Microsoft, sorry, Microsoft Shell. hosted, right? I just mentioned self-hosted. You can go first lane or second lane. Okay. So basically, there's a documents I have already shared you yesterday also. If you remember, in a group, what this all I have shared you everything, right? So these are things I was explaining. Now, if you go here also pipelines, right? Basically, you can go everything. So same thing as I told you, I have defined here also, just to make things simple. So we have gone here, we have got this thing. Now part is done. Now I need to configure self-hosted. Now in order to do that, what I'll do next is this is how the you have to refer the documents. Like you can see, right? Different self-hosted one. Now if you go with the recent, you can see the jobs. Basically, you will get all the details. But sometimes this looks confusing for you all to read, right? This is the reason why what I did was I make a proper documents so that you can basically refer these documents, right? So if you go with this here, you can check one by one. Just go through everything if you have a time. Otherwise, as I told you, you can basically refer the documents what I share. Okay, now as I told you, let's do that first. What I'll do was first, in my case, let me go my systems. I will open one more tab because yesterday I have configured the agent into another projects, right? So let me go there. I want to see the whether it is running or not so that I can disable that first. Go to here. This is my default organizations. Go to projects, or you don't need projects. You can directly go to the here also on the project settings or organization settings. Both ways you can go. Okay, now you can see the agent pool. Now in agent pool you will see agent that is configured. Now I'll go default. This is where I have configured yesterday. Now you see so many jobs. If you see yesterday, today means you can see what time I was travel trying to fix the issue. It is almost 4 o'clock night. Okay, so as I told you, if you have to learn something, you need to research. You need to do a lot of troubleshoot. That is something you need to do it. Unless you sacrifice for learning new things, then it will be difficult. So as you can see here, this is time. Almost 4 o'clock. I was working yesterday, fixing all the issue, understanding the logics, things like that. So let me go here. Now this is showing as a offline because as I told you, right now it is offline. I don't want to this thing. I will just keep as offline only, or I can delete it if you want. But in my case, let me create one more new agent for another projects. Now what I'll do, uh, I have already, this is what I call work item. Okay, before that, let us go with the flow. I mean, based on the documents. What I have to do, first I need to download this one. To download, what I have to do, I can simply copy this one, or if your, let's say your system is same system, and you can simply click on download button, copy paste it. Otherwise, you simply click here. I will click the click button. If you having the different locations, use the click button, go to the virtual machines of agent pool basically. Then open your browser, any browser you can use it, then copy paste the link, as I copy if you see here, this is zip file, right? It is going to be downloaded now. Now if you see here, do you want to this following files in this location? Open, save, they just save as. Okay, save you do. If you save, now it will be saved, right? Now you see here, if you can open the folder, it is basically on the download folder, right? See, this one, as I told you, I have already done it, everything. So that for now, I'm just showing you, make sure you understand it. So once you're done this download part, next, what is the next? Simply go to PowerShell, run as admin now. Let's try to run as admin. You create one agent here. So what I'll do is I will copy this one. What it does basically, it is a Linux commands, or maybe this is right. I'm going to create a directory called as a Azure. Under Azure, there is something called as a, I'm going to cd something change directory. I'm going to go in this that particular inside directory and then run these commands. So this basically I have run it. First, run these commands, and then second, if you see, don't run everything here. PS, what is it? You run from here as in, then you run this command still here, not the entire this one. Okay, don't be confused. Run here. Once it is run, then you will be taken to the agent, right? Let me show you the agents. In my case, what I will do, I will create one separate. Let me open the PowerShell. As in already created, I will go with some other name, right? So I don't want to give a same as in name. I want to give some different name. Let's say I'll just simply type ls. Sorry, I can type, yeah, ls also I can type, just to see what if I have something. There are so many directories are there. You can see the agent, right? This was done yesterday by me. So I don't want to give the same name. So what I can do is, instead of agent, I can give some name. So mkdir. This is a different way, right? Mkdir. I can give a, instead of, this is just a agent, right? I'll give a agents s, or agent 01. Agent 01 I'll give this time, right? And you can go, you can create like this also. Now, if you do ls also, you can see, or I can directly switch to the directory. If you see agent 01, now I can go using cd commands the agents. Sorry, my screen is not visible. Maybe help. Okay, now agents. Now I'll go. That means I'm switching to particular here. Now, as I click here, now the download is happened there. No, let me copy paste it here. Right, this one I have done it. Together also I can run, or separately I can run this command. So you have seen, right? Now if I run this one, what happened? Think there is some lag. Okay, so let me just, so as, so now you know how to be are inside the agent. Now I'm trying to enter paste. So basically same thing. So but normally as part of the Microsoft, we should not be using the same agent, I mean same machine for multiple agents. That means same but machine, right? Same machine we are using for the different what you call that projects, right? So they should not be doing that. It should be done for particular organizations or particular case. But in my case, as I told you, this is a simple thing. This is why now, if I type here, before I have switched under here, before there was nothing. Now, but now I have switched it. Also, I have extracted. Now, if you go ls, now you can see the file. That means whatever files I have, that means as I told you, you don't need to do anything. It is we just copy paste the commands. Try to see if you see extract the directory. Okay, from the download file. Okay, now this is why I'm inside. Now automatically it is got extracted, and here you can see what is the next. Now next I need to run this command, that is a config.md. You can also refer the documents. Here you can see, right, under agent, you can this one, right? Then you can run these commands. That means optionally this run the agent interactively. So let's do that. Now let me hide this one. How can I do that? Same thing in Linux, I mean Windows. Just type config. As you type config, you just use a tab. You don't have to copy paste it. Don't copy paste it. You should know the format. Just use the till here also config or config, whatever. Just use the tab button with the similar name. Now you can see, right, config.md came before that /came. But I have not done that. Automatically when I use a tab, it should appear like that. Same way, this is what it's right. Done. Now let's do this one. Now what you see, let's say. Still I have not done it. Okay, so what we see here, as you enter here, as I told you, once you enter, this is basically configuration file. You see here Azure pipelines, right? And you can also see the connect, enter the server URL. Now, as I told you, server URL is nothing but basically your organizations. Now I need to connect to the organization to access the project, right? So how I can do that? I can go to the Azure, this thing almost done. I can close if you want, but better use another different tab. So in my case, I have opened different tab. I'll go to the organization, that is something, I think this one, right? Here is what we have configured, right? Given permission also to the PAT token access. Now here, if you go here, you can see here, right? Copy here till here dev.devops dot this particular full URL. If you copy here, you can just copy this till organization, not a project. Enter here. If you see here, by default, the HTTPS will take place, but you can keep as it is. And there is a slash. This is optional. You can leave or you can. In my case, I will leave it. That means I'm going to give permissions to run this particular SN pool, sorry, SN into particular organizations. Now let me do next. Now it is asking me enter authentication type, press enter for PAT. That means, as I told you, now Azure DevOps need to be communicated or maybe having authenticated access to your this agent, right? This is a separate agent. This is managed completely different, right? So how it has to be authenticated? This is the reason why one way is to that using the PAT, personal access token. So in my case, yes, I want to do using this PAT, right? So I'll simply type enter. Don't type any keyword or anything, just type enter. I mean, just enter. As you enter, now you can see here, enter the personal access token. This is where the token that was created by us just maybe a few minutes before. Here, right? We went to the under projects, under organization we have projects, or the within the organizations there is a, we can see, right, this one we got this one, right? So if you click here, as I told you, we have already done it that. So but yeah, in your case, as I told you, this is the one we have done it. So then we can directly go. Now in my case, let's go next one. Okay, sorry, I need to copy paste it. Where is the top pad? This is a pad. I got this one. Let me copy paste it. Let copy, then go here, just paste it. This will not be visible to you because this is this thing, right? So yeah, once you type, just understand the message carefully. It is now what happened now. Once I type, that means it is authenticated properly. Now if you see connecting to server, that means it is connecting now. It is trying to authenticate to your Azure DevOps with your agent. Now you can see the agent, registered agent. Now enter agent pool, press enter for default. That means, as I told you, agent pool is nothing but it is a set of agent, right? So set of agent, I want to define only one agent. So this is why this name in this particular organizations, we have two different name, right? You might be just now, let me show you. If you go under this here, we have a what is settings, organization settings, go to pipelines, right? We go to pipelines. Then you see here, this is a default, right? This is what I'm referring to. Maybe if you want to use this one also, then you can give the same name as it is. But this is for another things. I have used it by default. You can leave for now this one. But yeah, so as I told you, I'm going with the default pipelines. That is part of this thing. This is the name. This is a pool, as in pool name, not as in name, as in pool name. So under here, I want to configure as in here. If I remember, if now we don't have anything right now, we are going to register. Now later in some time you can see here. Okay. Now let us go back now. That means this is the default. So I will say, okay, I want to use the default as in pool only. So I can give a, you can see, right, press enter for default. That means if you press enter, by default this will be chosen. If you want different one, get the same name. In my case, let it be as default. So I just entered it. Now as soon as I enter, it is asking me enter as a name, press enter for self-hosted agent. That means agent name in the sense right now, this particular virtual machine will be used with this thing, right? So to identify here what name you want to list it here, right? Agent name can be anything, but it has to be identical or it has to be unique, right? So I can give any name. So in my case, I can give any name that I wish to give. So I can give simply maybe pulse as in let's say 1000, let's say, sorry, 1000, something like that. You can give any name. It's no issue. Okay, there is no any naming convention or nothing. You can give any name. So that means as a name, it should be this name. Now enter here. Now once you enter, that means you are trying to say now they will check for this particular this thing. How they will check the scanning for the tool capabilities, whether it is able to handle that this thing or not. They will basically analyze it. Then connecting to the server, they have connected now. If you see here, now they have connected here with this name, connecting to the server, successfully added the agent. That means the agent successfully added. But now there is another thing, testing agent connection. Now below, if you see here, enter the work folder, press enter for work is directory. What basically it means, right? So this, what exactly this means. Now we need to see here, if you go here, basically I have created one folder here. This is basically to store all your build artifacts. That means whatever application you are building, those information or those repository core, everything will be stored here. So I give in my case I given some other name. So in my case I will keep it as a same this name. Okay, work. Later if it is a conflict, I can change it later. Maybe I can go with the default. If you want, you can give any name that you wish to give. If you want to give how I can give also, I will show you that. Okay. If you want to give this name, let's say this particular name with particular folder, as I told you, uh, this one, if you want to basically define some other location, you can simply create a folder just like here. Let's say if you want to create a new folder, I'm just giving that also option. If you want to say, let's say test work, something like that, right? I can simply copy paste this one. I can, if you don't know Linux, some commands now, Linux or maybe not Linux, Windows, you can basic way, you can just see how I can get a part, right? Same way, I can basically copy paste it also here. While entering this time, right? Enter for the for work the case, you can simply copy paste it, whatever comments I have given. In my case, as I told you, I don't want to do, I want to give as default. Now it is asking me enter run as an as service. You want to run this as a service? Yes, in my case, yes. Enter press for no. If you want to know, mean it will be in my case, yes. I want to run as a service, so I'll mention as a Y, right? Now it is asking me enter enable service ID restrictor for Asian this thing. Press enter for no. Yes, I can also make this also as yes. Now enter the account to use social signal for network. All this one you can keep as a enter the user account to use the service. You can just give as this thing default. Okay, now it is asking me now enter whether to prevent service starting immediately. So you in your case you can run as a this thing. You can mention as a yes. Okay, now it is successfully done. Now it's once it is successfully done, now you go back to your this thing. You can see, right, this name. This was not there before, right? If you know, this is this organizations. Just now we have added. This is the name we given. Pulse as in 100 at 1000. I mean, same thing. We have given this name. So this is the reason why now it is showing. But if you notice here, it is somewhere it is showing me as offline. Offline means definitely they will not be able to run any task, right? So how can you run the task now? So as I told you, it is offline now. Let's make this online. So how can I do online? So if you go documents or don't need documents at all, there is an option. We are already within the agent, right? If you just type within the agent folder ls, if you type ls, there is something called the run.cmd, right? If you type this one, you have to type this one. Just mention run.cmd. what it does basically, run.cmd basically is going, because when you select here, if you notice somewhere we have mentioned as a service, right? Somewhere we have mentioned run as a service, somewhere we have different, right? So they'll try to use as a service. That means you need to run it. So in my case, okay, I will run it. So to run this thing, I can use the run commands. Okay. So if I enter it, now they will try to connect. So let me enter. Now, if you see here, now it is scanning for tool capabilities. They'll try to scan whether you're able to, they'll try to again see, they'll try to register basically for your this particular agent to use particular in pipeline, right? So it is scanning. Let's wait for some time. Meanwhile, so if you see here now, what it says, I have run, I have started a service. Now, if you see now, connecting to the server, they connected now, listening for jobs. That means now this particular agent is ready to accept the job in the sense they can now take the what do you call the request now, whatever task now I can run within here. So how I can see that one? Now let me go here. Right now I don't have anything, but just to make sure you understand it better, so as I told you, you can ignore this file for now, right? This file, as I told you, this is the default one. I have created yesterday, customize it. Now it is going to be default name. So what I can do now, go back to your pipelines. See now, it is see in your projects, right? Organizations. Here it is online. Right now your agent is online. Now question is, how can I use this one, right? To use this thing, it's very simple. Let me run any random pipelines in within my here. I'm not going to use this time the default pipe, default agent pool, or maybe you can call as agent in this time. This time I will be using the one what we have configured. So let's do that. Go to one of the projects in the same projects, because this is where we have configured our agent, right? So go to pipelines. Now I will take maybe, okay, I will take this one as an this thing. Okay, I will go with the edit options. Okay, here, if you notice, as I told you, if you notice here, this is the default, right? That means whatever task you are basically defining here, all the tasks will be carried out with the help of this particular agent and running inside this Windows latest machine, right? But this time, I don't want to do, because as an infrastructure, I have set up a self-hosted agent. This is where I want to use it. So how can I use that one, right? So in order to use that one, instead of using BM image, I should be using only the name. Instead of the BM image, I just mention as a name. That means I want to name. Now next I want to call this specific, or I want to call the agent pool name, because as I told you, agent pool is the setup the self-hosted agent, right? In our case, it is real time case, right? Setup agent machine. Now in my case, what is the agent pool name now? Let us see now. Agent pool I can close now because I don't need anymore. If you go to the here, you can go organizations also. I can see my default agent pool which we have entered it when we run also, and I can go to here. Now this is the name, right? This is where we have configured default is the agent pool name. Under here is what we have our basically agent, right? This agent, it is running, so I have to use this name. So I copy paste or typed it according to your comfortable. So in my case I will just use this thing. That's it. But this is one of way of doing it. Let me run. Okay, anyway. But before that, I do do one more troubleshoot. Okay, it is false already. Fine, no problem then. Right. This time, if you see pipeline as normal, what we have discussed, these all normally, this all tasks, if it is already installed, you don't basically need to do that. You can remove this all also, because this is already available in your build system, right? In your agent basically. So, but in our simplicity purpose, let's not remove, let we will keep as it is. Okay, so I have changed what? Only the pool name, right? So let's save it now. As I save here, it may take maybe 1 or 2 minutes. Let's wait. Then let me run here. While running, I will also select this one as enable system diagnostic. Let's wait. Okay, Tim. Meanwhile, do you have any questions about this agent, self-hosted agent or Microsoft hosted agent? Okay, I think there's no questions. That's good. Let's wait. Okay, let's wait. And one thing we need to notice is that whenever we are running for the first time, right, this particular agent basically as a first time, you need to basically give up permission, or in the sense you need to approve it for the first time. So let's see that also. So as I told you, it may take some time. Let's wait for that. But meanwhile, if you see here, as I told you, right, this pipeline needs permission to access the resource before run, before this run can continue. So as I told you, for the first time, you basically need somewhere to basically, you given the this thing, right, SaaS token, everything. I mean, pat access token, everything. They'll authenticate, but for the first time, someone need to approve manually. Now, if you see here, you can see check and manual validation for stage. Permission need to give agent pool. That is the name of the agent pool. That is the default. Permission is required. Yes, I can give it. Now, if you see here, granting permission here will permit the use of agent pool. That is the default agent pool for all waiting and the future runs of these pipelines. Yes, it's okay. I'm going to give it. Okay. So for the first time, as I told you, you need somewhere to basically come here and manually grant the access. All right. So as you basically accept or maybe grant the permissions, slowly the pipeline will get started. Now, if you see here, notice here, agent pool, as I told you, we have defined as a default is what is shown here. Now there is a queue in the queue, right? Now it's coming now. If you see here, the agent request is not running because all potential agents are running other requests current position in Q1. That means if you have multiple agents, is what we can define for within the agent pool. Basically, we can have a multiple agent so that for each agent can carry over their jobs. Okay, so anyway, that's okay because we are just doing a simple test. So one agent is okay for us, but in real time, yes, you would have a number of, what is it, agent pool created, not agent pool, agent basically. Okay. Okay, let's wait. Meanwhile, I would like to show you something here. So as I told you, this is the configuration. It's very simple. You can just go through this one, server URL, everything. And in the pipelines, if you want to mention one thing, let's say this time, if you notice here, I given pool name as a default. This is the name that we have defined, right? And but what if you have, let's say if you have here now in the default pool agent pool, right, you only have one agent. Let's say if you have a 10 different agents, you might be thinking, right, you have a 10 different agents, then how the pipeline will decide or how the pipeline will take which agent to choose to run their task or job, right? That is where we can define it. Okay, that is where we can define. So what we can do is in this case, if you have that kind of this thing, um, I can close this one because we don't need that anymore. So where is that? I think so. Okay, let's wait. Okay, meanwhile, I will show you that also. So as I told you, if you have multiple this thing, you can run, let's say pipeline. Let me run the pipelines. I mean, open one more different tab. We will finish in next 5 minutes, team. Okay, let's not listen. But yeah, I'll go within here. go to the pipelines. Right, I want to go to pipelines. I want to go to uh, here, right? I can choose any one. I will choose the old one. Okay, I'll choose this one. Now, if you go to edit options, I'm just trying to show you so that you will be aware of. I think I have not defined it here. Okay, that time what we did was be given as a default, right? Here be given as a default, and here be given as a name instead of the this thing. This is the name we have given. So this is the thing we have done, right? But one thing, if you notice here, that means now agent will the agent pool basically will be using, if you have a within this agent pool, if you have a let's say 5 different agent pool, I mean agents, how they will decide, right? This is why we can also define if you want to run in particular task for the particular jobs, I mean particular jobs to be running in the particular agent. That time we can define something like this: demand that you can give as a name and equal whatever the as a name you want to use it. Okay, this is how we can define it, but in your case we don't need, but if you want you can use this way also. Okay, okay, let's go check the this thing. Now it is successfully done. Now if you see here, it is still taking time, I think so. Let me just go back, see the projects, pipelines. Still it is running, right? Can somebody tell me why it's taking time? There is a two pipeline running. Maybe I don't know which one. I can close this one, maybe, I think. I don't know. Let me check what it is. 7. There is a multiple this thing running in the backend. That is a thing. Okay, there are two. I can maybe close one of them. Actually, that is why what we have to do. If it is not running this thing, you basically need to stop one of the this thing, because now it is running here and here also. Now if you see, it is in a queue. Okay, so we can disable one of them. Now if you disable this thing, it will run this one, latest one. Now I will do one of the. I can disable, maybe I'll cancel this one for now, because we have defined here also already. That should be fine, right? So let's wait. Now I can open the jobs. Now if you see here, now there is no issue, right? Because there is no issue. The reason was, as I told you, normally if you try to build tests or anything, there will come an issue, because there is a dependency file to be installed. In our case, as I told you, I have already done yesterday all the dependency file. This is the reason why it is not failing. So it is very important to understand what are the dependency required. So as I mentioned, for .NET based application, you would need these all the dependency files. Some of them maybe in your case also there could be some difference, may have an issue. So basically you have to fix all the issue manually. Okay, so this is one way of doing. Same way, if you are also doing for the .NET or Java, .NET instead of Python or maybe any other, I have tried to do some research and maybe try to figure out that also. You can also check this also, right? This, if you can see, as we all know, this, or again we need to install Choco, this thing similar way we can install this one, right? So we can check this thing. So you can go through like this also. Okay, this is also, you can just reference, you can get some idea. So as I told you, now we do not see any issue, because our actual agents are working fine. But if you see here, if you're coming here, it is listening, right? Listening that for job. Now it is running job completed with the result success. That means, as I told you, this particular agent is listening now to pick up some jobs, so it is success. Now we can also check if you go to the here C drive, right? In C drive, this is a default one. You can basically create default one, but in this time, where is the basic artifacts are stored? Now we do not have anything, right? We need to, this is why always try to use the default. Don't use the default list thing. In my case, I just wanted to show you, you have to use this one. Always try to use the sorry, not this one, um as in okay, while entering, I mean, while entering in your this thing, no, always try to use while entering here, you given the default name, right? Working directory that you can change it. So as I told you, I have shown you also, but I will show you then how to know which is the right one, right? If you go to the success, go to success pipelines or anything. Now, if you go here also, if you come down, now where you can see here. If that means this is basically a separate publishing, right? If you say just notice under publish artifacts or copy time also, if you want, you can check it. So okay, now if you see here where it is going, everything is going under C drive. My username under Hriyen folder is there. Under Hriyen folder, as I told you, there is a agent was already created. I created with the agent 01, right? So under here, I got created this folder. Now let us say that we can go to the using here also, but directly I'll go to the from the here on the GUI mode. So Hriyen under users, right? Here we have a Hriyen folder. Under Hriyen there is a what is it called? Agent 01, right? Agent 01. Here is what we have the, if you see here, configuration file. This is the default one. So if you don't want to manage this default, as I told you, you can just copy paste the proper part when you're configuring it. Okay. Now, if you go inside here, now we can see the same thing. You can see the source mapping road. That also we can see. Then you would see the A1. Now we have here a folder, whatever pipeline we have, right? Pipeline we have just all the artifacts here, repository, if it's the web app, and you can see insights, manifest. So basically, as I told you, everything you can manage it here. We have YAML. Same thing if you go GitHub also, or maybe in your this thing Azure, you can see this one in your artifacts. But it is not, it is stored now locally in my local system, right? So right now we don't have anything here, but this is the nigger something that we need to basically checking. Here is a something. This is basically a source. S is nothing but a source. Always it will store under one, under S. There are two we need to understand. One is the S and the A. A is basically if you mostly get everything all, and S nothing but it is a source file. So this is the source file we have it. So as I told you, this is how we need to basic store. Now, same person, let's say they are working with the .NET based applications in the next time, or maybe when you're running the next time your pipelines, that times the artifacts or whatever it is already installed, right? It will be taken from your from cache only, cache from here with the help of this, right? Because it will not go and download from your backends or from your repository or anywhere. It is directly be taking or picking up from here itself, whatever you have. If there is something not available, yes, that case it will go and pick from there itself. Okay, this is the reason why we have to use the self-hosted agent, because as I told you, you can manage now this folder also. You can move to a particular folder if you don't need it. But while doing it, you have to, as I told you, you have to do this one. Okay, this is how we can actually work it. Okay, I hope this is clear, team. Now you understood how to do all this, and I have shown also now. If you see here, this is done. The artifact also I have published it. I can just refresh it once. Right, I can just refresh. Once I refresh, same artifacts also published in the pipeline. So now I will have two artifacts. One stored in the build agent. Second is your in your pipelines. Now you can see same thing. Now, for any reason, let's say somebody's working with the same application, then they don't have to work from scratch everything, because as I told you, all tools are installed. But just to give you another this thing, hint, if you go yesterday things, the one what I was trying to do without installing the dependency file, I run the same agent, but I faced the issue as I told you, because there was some dependencies required, right? So if you go here, I'll go one of the issue. If you see like this you will get it, because this all the things you need to troubleshoot manually one by one, fix it, then only your application will be able to build successfully. If you have not built successfully your application, then your agent will not be able to use it, it will be useless then. So this is how it should come, one or the other should come. So trying to figure out, try to use the documents, or maybe so many documents are there. I have also given a documents yesterday. Here, right, these all documents are given, every single steps are defined here also. Similar way I have defined also in my documents. Okay, so this is the reason why we need to know the difference, right? So yeah, all right team, so as I told, this is for now. Maybe next week or maybe tomorrow we'll try to use to deploy in Azure another applications .NET. Maybe that time we have the BS Code, basically Visual Studio 2022 install. We'll be demonstrating using that, and then publish the repository to Azure and then deploy it. Okay, so yeah, team. So let's wind up the session for now. We'll connect again after some time. So thank you so much once again. Have a nice